Every psychology channel tells you the same story. Intelligent people disappear because they finally learn to protect their peace. That story is only half true. Two people can stop replying to messages for completely opposite reasons. One is protecting her peace. The other is quietly retreating from her own life. From the outside, they look identical. Same silence, same declined invitations, same she's just busy. But to actually understand what's happening when someone you know goes quiet, we need to look at what's happening inside their mind, not what it looks like from yours. This isn't about clinical antisocial behavior. It's about a specific pattern, often in the most capable, thoughtful people in a friend group, of pulling back from routine contact sometime in their late 20s or 30s. Their friends notice first. Group chats go quiet. Invitations get declined more than they get accepted. Calls that used to be answered within the hour start going to voicemail. And the people left behind are usually stuck with one uncomfortable question. Did I do something wrong? Most explanations online are reassuring. No, you didn't do anything wrong. This person simply outgrew shallow connection. And often that's true. Self-awareness really does make people more selective about who gets their time and energy. But researchers who study social withdrawal are more cautious than the comment sections. Selective disengagement and avoidant withdrawal can produce nearly identical behavior. One person is curating their life. Another is slowly losing their grip on it. Everything looks fine on the surface until you look closer at where that line actually is. Here's the layer most videos on this topic get right. As people gain life experience, their brains get faster at spotting inconsistency, the compliment that doesn't match someone's tone, the friend who only calls when they need something. This kind of pattern recognition doesn't have an off switch. A conversation that used to feel effortless now takes visible mental work, because part of the brain is quietly running a background check on every sentence. Picture an old friend group at dinner. Same jokes as always. Except now, one person at that table is clocking who changes the subject when things get real, and who only shows up when there's something to celebrate. Nobody else notices anything has changed. This part of the story is genuinely accurate. Heightened selectivity really does reduce someone's tolerance for shallow interaction, and that alone explains a lot of quiet exits from group chats and friend groups. But here's where the popular version of this story stops short, and where it gets more complicated than a comforting caption. If pattern recognition were the whole story, withdrawal would always be a sign of growth. But the research on loneliness and avoidant coping points to something the self-help version leaves out entirely. Protective withdrawal and avoidant withdrawal are driven by completely different internal states, even though they produce the exact same outward behavior. Fewer replies, fewer plans, more time alone. Someone practicing healthy boundaries still feels steady, still reaches out to the handful of people who matter, and still feels tethered to their own life. Someone in avoidant withdrawal feels a low hum of dread about reaching out to anyone, initiates almost nothing, and mistakes the relief of avoiding contact for the peace of choosing solitude. Ask yourself this: when someone stops replying, is it because the conversation felt shallow? Or because reaching out to anyone about anything has started to feel like a task they can't face? Those are two very different answers wearing the same disguise. Not every disappearance is enlightenment. Some of it is a person quietly losing their grip on connection and calling it peace. Stay with me, because the actual dividing line between the two is the part that changes how you should read your own quiet. So here's the real dividing line. And it has nothing to do with how much time someone spends alone. It's about whether solitude is adding something to their life or subtracting something from it. Genuine protective withdrawal comes with a felt sense of clarity. This is the part both popular narratives online get right. People in this state read more, think more carefully, and actually enjoy their own company. They still show up fully for the small circle they've kept. Avoidant withdrawal comes with a felt sense of numbness instead. Time alone doesn't feel like relief. It feels like nothing. The peace is really just the absence of the discomfort of contact, not the presence of anything positive. The internet was told that anyone who goes quiet has simply leveled up. The reality is more specific. Some people leveled up, and some people are quietly sinking, and the two can look exactly the same from inside a group chat. Self-improvement content keeps blurring this line, because you outgrew them is a far more satisfying story than you might be withdrawing for reasons that have nothing to do with growth. Not by accident. Reassurance gets more views than nuance. This matters right now because remote work, dating apps, and algorithm-driven feeds have made low-effort, low-reward social contact easier than ever, which means more people than ever are quietly withdrawing, with no easy way to tell which version it is. So, if you've been pulling away lately, don't just ask whether you've outgrown certain people. Ask a harder question. When you picture reaching out to someone who actually matters to you, does it feel like relief? Or does it feel like one more thing you can't face today? That answer tells you more about your own psychology than any relatable caption ever will. Most people will keep accepting the flattering version of this story. Now you know, there's a less comfortable, more accurate one underneath it. So next time someone tells you that going quiet always means you've grown, remember, sometimes it does, and sometimes it's your mind quietly asking for help while disguised as independence. If this reframed how you think about your own silence, it's worth passing on to someone still telling themselves the comfortable version. Next time, we're looking at the difference between loneliness and solitude and why your brain can't always tell them apart.